Fiancé calls me while I'm at work, saying she needs to talk to me as soon as I get off. When she picks me up, she tells me she's been in the car all day. She told the roommates that she went shopping. She started crying and told me that the husband had grabbed her ass and tried to get her to sleep with him. Today's episode is a roller coaster. We're talking about boundaries in relationships, betrayals that cut deep, and choices that sit heavy on the soul. From someone saying no to their partner's solo trip, to a roommate trying to make a move on a fiancé, and a chilling confession from someone ready to air out everything before ending it all. It's raw, it's messy, it's human, and we're diving into it all, one story at a time. Welcome to another episode of With Love Lola. Let's get into it. I broke up with my girlfriend because she broke my trust. Recently, I, 24 male, broke up with my fiancé, 25 female, because she was hanging out with two guys from her old workplace. Just for background, we dated for 7 years, and about 3 months ago, she started working at a restaurant, which she recently quit. I noticed that after starting, she stayed out late, past 4 a.m. The restaurant closes at 11 p.m. She'd say she's just hanging out with coworkers because she's stressed, and I'd be okay with that initially. Eventually, she's out every day, even when she doesn't work, with 2 male coworkers, and she picked up running and other hobbies as well because they're into them. I told her that I felt our relationship was getting more and more distant, and I confessed I didn't like her hanging out with other guys so often. She kind of brushed it off and said I was overreacting. Fast forward, our relationship takes a turn for the worse, and she wouldn't even look at me in the car, constantly on her phone smiling while texting. I find out when she lets me go on her phone that she texts the other guys late into the night when we're together making plans to hang out. I asked her to cut them off because her texts are getting flirty, and she said she would because our relationship matters. The next day, I find her on her phone that she planned to see the other guys at the restaurant she used to work with her female friend. When I confronted her, she said it was just to say our last goodbyes. She had already texted them emotional goodbyes 2 days prior, which I had to find out on my own after she deleted the messages. I broke up with her on the spot, and I told her that if she is willing to go behind my back to meet up and text these guys, one more specifically than the other, then she definitely had feelings for him. Other friends of ours noticed this as well and told her it did look like she had feelings. She denies it and wants to get back together. I told her it might not have been physical, but she emotionally cheated on me. I watched her smile more with the other guy than she had with me for 3 months she worked at the restaurant. I gave her 3 chances to cut them off. Am I the asshole? Absolutely not. I promise you, as soon as you broke it off with her, she reconnected with one of those guys instantaneously. This is why, guys, I always say it's always dangerous territory when you are friends with the opposite gender when you are in a relationship. Outside the relationship, don't care. Do whatever you want. But once you have a significant other, out of respect for that person, most people don't know how to maintain that cordial relationship with someone else, right? Because stuff like this happens. You spend time with a lot of person in that same vicinity, you're going to start to develop feelings unless you create that boundary that doesn't let yourself go past it. So she's hooing all by herself with her friends or whatever. Of course she got feelings. So what part of you is at fault for this? I don't blame you at all whatsoever. I think you saved yourself. Sucks that you invested 7 years of your relationship into this, but I'd rather you cut off now before you get married or you have kids, and then you'll find someone who eventually will appreciate you and love you for who you are. Trigger warning: suicide. I'm going to be taking my own life, and I'll be airing out my grievances publicly as revenge. I am a nurse who has been referred to my country's regulator over medication errors I made. No one was harmed, which I will always be thankful for. Seems fair, right? I would agree. However, there is context to why these errors happen, which isn't really relevant to the post, and I don't want to dox myself, but I digress. Aside from the errors, I was a good nurse. Well, to be a good nurse, I don't think you should be making errors, but again, I'm not a nurse. I gave the whole career my all, but it wasn't enough. I'm not going to fight what has been said about me to my regulator. They operate like an organization out of Orwell's 1984, rather than a health regulatory system in a functioning society. What's Orwell's 1984? What? I gotta Google this. Okay, it says it's based on a dystopian vision of the future where the freedom of the individual is subjugated to the conformity of society. Okay. Continue. Once you are referred and they decide to take the case further against you, you are treated like a criminal. It is guilty until proven innocent. I don't trust that I won't get a fair hearing, but I do want to be able to set the record straight. I'm not a psychologist, but I believe my former manager is the closest thing to a psychopath I've ever seen. She has completed a total character assassination on me. She has been unrelenting in her lies, her cruelty, and lack of empathy, all while smiling and mobilizing her flying monkeys. If I let it go to panel, my side will not be listened to, and the lies about my character will be published for the world to see. I've lost everything. My home, my career, my life. I figured that by doing this on my terms, exposing what I can prove to be lies and sending it to whoever will listen, then I have at least set the record straight. Maybe I can stop this from happening to someone else. On a more selfish note, as I'll be calling out my manager by name, I hope it absolutely destroys her reputation. I hope every time she goes for a new job or someone looks her up to find out more about her, I'll be there. I feel guilt. I know this will greatly and negatively impact my family, but I can't go on feeling this way. It already feels like I'm dead. I don't want to say too much on this because I'm not a subject matter expert on any of this, but I'm going to read the top comment. And she says, just remember, once you state your grievances, it would only last a few hours or days. Afterwards, everyone will forget and move on with their lives. It's better to stay alive and continue to remind them of the problems you have with them. Also, I will touch on one thing. Just if your manager is truly a narcissist like you have described her to be, she will not feel guilt if you die. Like, I feel like sometimes healthcare can be a really toxic environment, having friends in the industry and like also just hearing stories about it. I don't think anything is going to change. You're going to do this and you're going to, give up your life for the thought that something might happen to her. And if it doesn't, which it probably won't, it's all going to be in vain. Am I wrong for forcing my diet on my boyfriend? I'm from France originally, and I moved to the States almost 2 years ago. Now, for some reason, the food here makes me sick. Not in an ew, that's gross kind of way, but actually physically sick. My body seems to struggle to digest it, whether it's takeout or fancy restaurant food. Either I can't go to the bathroom for days or I'm violently vomiting. I tried dealing with it for months and months, but I started losing weight very quickly because I couldn't eat. I ended up developing a serious aversion to food, and my family recommended I go and speak to a specialist. I had never had a problem back home, and I was terrified I was seriously ill. So I went to multiple doctors where I was poked and prodded, and I had multiple tests done. They have all said nothing is wrong with me physically. I spoke to a dietitian and he explained that my body is probably not used to the amount of salt and preservatives that is found in the food in the States. Please don't think I'm bashing the US. I love it here and it's a great country. My dietitian recommended fresh and organic produce to see how my body coped, and to my delight, I improved. I stopped vomiting and I was able to start slowly putting weight back on. I started making meals from scratch and meal prepping to save time throughout the week. My dad is actually a chef back home, so he was more than happy to send me some recipes to keep my diet interesting. I made a delicious vegetarian lasagna from scratch and put it in the oven to cook. My boyfriend, American, came home after work and asked what was for dinner. I said I was making a veggie lasagna. He rolled his eyes and said he was sick of that organic crap and wanted a cheeseburger. The comment hurt. I made a real effort at mealtimes to keep it varied so we're not always eating the same thing. I said I couldn't make one because I didn't even have any burger buns. He said it was unfair to make him eat my diet. I had never realized he was opposed to it. He benefited from my home-cooked meals, and I had seen that his clothes were fitting him better. He had more energy, and he didn't sleep so much on the weekends. I apologized and said I didn't mean to make him feel forced. So, am I the asshole for forcing my diet on him? Here's my thing, right? You're not forcing him to do anything. He's a grown man with 2 working hands, 2 working feet. If he wants a burger, by all means, go get your burger. But don't put it on me when you know that I have a restriction and I get so ill. For those of you who don't understand, I can relate to this so much because I get the stomach bug easily. And one of the worst pains in the world, guys, is just violently throwing up. Not being able to keep food down is the worst because sometimes the last time I got sick like that, I would throw everything up out of my guts and then I would try to introduce solids or liquids back slowly. And because I would get so thirsty because my body's dehydrated, I would chug the water and end up throwing up again because your stomach and your intestines are just so sensitive. Throwing up is one of the worst pains someone can ever constantly. Imagine knowing you're gonna eat something and you're like, shit, I'm gonna throw up after I eat this. It's knowingly every time you put food in your body, you're gonna throw up. Being the significant other, I would be oh no, I would hate to see my spouse or my partner go through that. And it's not like she's making weird stuff. She's making lasagna. It's okay, fine, don't eat it, but don't make her feel bad for wanting to cook it. It's not, I honestly, by reading the title of it, I thought you would have been the asshole, but this is why it's important to read it through. I don't think you should be talked to that way, any sort of way, especially since he doesn't have any empathy towards you, saying, why are you making me eat that crap? It's I'm not. I'm making it for myself. I'm going to make myself one meal. Just because you don't want to eat the food I eat, I'm not going to go out of my way to make a whole separate meal. If you want me to cook food at home, I'll cook food, but I'm going to cook food that I will be able to eat and enjoy. My gosh. Am I wrong? I said no to my husband taking a solo trip. I'm a mom of 3, a 7-year-old girl and 8-month-old twin boys. I work a 9 to 5 corporate job. My husband is a teacher and obviously has summers off. Last summer while I was pregnant, I let my husband go on a solo trip to the Bahamas. I travel for work and he felt like it was unfair that I get away so much. I let him do that last year. He has also been talking about going to the World Cup games in 2026 with my brother-in-law in Mexico, the US, and Canada, which I'm being supportive of because he loves soccer. A few days ago, he got it in his head that he wants to do another solo trip this summer because he's off and sick of just sitting around with the babies. We only have part-time care for the boys at the moment. My daughter is fully in day camp to save money because he's off. Well, now I'm all of a sudden the bad guy because he wants to run off on another solo trip sometime in the next 3 weeks and I shut it down. I actually gave him the finger as my response, but I jokingly told him to F off all the time and he takes it well. I'm working, we don't have full-time childcare, and it's honestly just a lot with 3 kids. He has now turned it into me being the bad guy and all of a sudden he's furious at me. I have not traveled for business since having the twins. I've only been back at work for 6 weeks and I have declined 2 travel opportunities already because I felt it wasn't the right timing yet. I have no travel booked at this time, but that will change in the coming months. I had one girl's weekend away since the twins and offered for my husband to have a guy's weekend. I even asked my brother-in-law to reach out to him to arrange it because I felt bad that I left him for 3 kids for a weekend. As for the let him part, it's not about being a parent or controlling what he does. It's about mutual respect. That we respect each other enough to make sure that the other one is comfortable, especially because we have 2 babies that need lots of hands-on care and are not yet sleeping through the night. I wouldn't just plan a trip without checking in with him, and he does the same. Just to note, he's also a great father and super hands-on the vast majority of the time. I don't think you're wrong, right? There's a difference between you traveling and him traveling. You are getting paid to do it. At the end of the day, it's that simple. You are getting paid to go travel because you're going for work. He's getting butthurt that you get to travel the world and see different places. Then you should have picked a different profession, right? My problem is just like this. 7-year-old, 8-month-old, and you're saying, hey, I want to leave all 3 of you, even though I'm not making any money this summer because I'm a teacher, and I want to go travel again, right? It's different. You let him do the first one. I get that. It's like, you know what? You want to live your life too. But to make this a reoccurring thing when you just got back to work and you have twin babies, it's different. You have different priorities. When you become a parent, your priorities shift. It has to be your children, right? Of course, when you want to do these things, you have to do it while you're single and you don't have kids or one or the other, but stop trying to neglect your kids because you want to go live life. She's already been gracious enough to be like, you know what? It's fine. I'll take the kids. Next year you go to your World Cup, but now you want to go do something the next 3 weeks. I don't like that at all. I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective on this, especially for any of my male listeners. Do you guys think it's fair both ways for her to say no? Like, I'm not okay with this, or if it's even fair for him to ask. I just think, especially when it comes to childcare, like women are more entitled, like it's easier for us to watch the kids and let you go out. But when the mom wants to go out, it's a lot more difficult for the husband to watch all of the kids. And they just show their distress a lot easier and sooner than most would want. My roommate tried to sleep with my fiance. Me and my fiance have been couch surfing while waiting for our move-in date. We have all of our stuff packed into the vehicle and we are only 2 weeks away. The last place we were all at was with a couple that she knew. The wife was pregnant and for a few days things were going well. They gave us a tour of their house and everything, and me and my husband got to flex our cooking muscles together. We got along really well and even exchanged numbers so we could keep in touch. Not long into our stay, however, my fiance calls me while I'm at work saying she needs to talk to me as soon as I get off. When she picks me up, she tells me she's been in the car all day. She told the roommates that she went shopping. She started crying and told me that the husband had grabbed her ass and tried to get her to sleep with him. My initial reaction was explosive, but when I calmed down, I told her that we can go back and get our stuff. When we got there, the couple was sitting on the couch watching a movie. He called me buddy when I came in and I had to resist the urge to throw something at him. I told him I needed to shower. Meanwhile, my fiance quietly grabbed a few things we brought in. In the bathroom, I took a marginally decent crap to save you the nasty details. The conditions were right for me to scar him for life. He had this overpriced $200 loofah in the shower. I used it to scrub my body. Felt great. Then I used it to help clean my unwiped bottom, making sure to not wash it and put it out where he usually hung it. After the amazing shower, I came out and got dressed. I checked on my fiance in the car and went back in for one last gut punch. I told his wife that he tried sleeping with my fiance, and to no one's surprise, I find out this isn't his first time. I left in a hurry while they argued, and me and my girl got the hell out of there. I got a text the next day, one from him in all caps. "What the F is wrong with you?" Followed by a picture of his loofah covered in dry fecal matter. I simply sent a laughing emoji and blocked his number. Can I just I'm so happy that you believed her. I think out of listening to this, for her to come talk to you and for you not to question if she did or didn't do anything to entice that reaction. I just want to give you your flowers for that, because I hate hearing stuff where they're like, well, what did you do? Or like, no, you cheated on me, blah, 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 blah. Am I wrong for how I turned down an affair with a coworker and refusing to quit my job? I, 43 male, have been married to my wife, 45 female, and we have 3 kids. My new coworker, 34 female, and I took a liking for each other, which was very platonic on my side. We used to text, but nothing that was questionable. Then she sent me some flirty texts and a racy pic of her. I basically shut her down and I told her I don't have any interest in having an affair with her. I have a good wife who gives me a good life and I don't want to damage it. I have a problem with that sentence. Like, that just sounds like, I don't want to risk it. Not like, I'm in love with my wife. How dare you even think I would cheat on her and destroy my marriage? Whatever. You didn't do it, so I'll give you props for that. I decided to tell my wife what happened and we laughed it off. Then she snooped through my phone. She found the text and was very mad at me. She was mad because she feels that if she's unable to be a good wife to me, I would cheat. I told her I would divorce her first before I ever considered cheating on her. For a bit of context, I went through a bout of depression a decade ago. My youngest wasn't born yet. I lost my job. It was a dark time. Eventually, my wife asked for separation. I was able to crawl out of the hole, got a job, etc., and she came back. But after that, I realized that I can't lose myself again or I will lose everything. For her part, she has apologized for leaving and has been a good wife. He keeps using the word good. If someone described me as a good wife, I would lose my shit. I'm not a good wife. I'm a great wife. I'm a superior wife. I'm the best wife you would ever have. I'm your only wife. Stop saying good wife. Now my wife wants me to quit my job and find a new one. I have refused. I am definitely not going to do it. I don't trust my wife to not leave if I can't find another job. I will lose everything again. So I refused. She taunted me by saying that I just want to go with my coworker. That's why I won't listen to her. I told her that if she divorces me, she has no business telling me who I date. I basically said to her that I am not quitting my job. I am not discussing it anymore. She will probably leave me if I quit my job and struggle to find another one, so she may as well leave me now because I would rather be divorced than be divorced and jobless. She accused me of holding on to the past, but how could I not? She left me once. I won't ever put myself in that position again. Okay, wow, this got a little bit more different than what I was thinking. You told her. You didn't do anything wrong. You told her, which is what you were supposed to do. If that was me, I would want my husband to change jobs too, but I would never make him quit. And actually, I take that back. I would trust him enough to continue the job, but I would express my distaste for it and like recommend like, hey, getting a different job. But it depends how good of our life is. If he's really happy with his work-life balance and he makes enough and he's like, no, I really like my job, it's not worth giving it up for this girl because she hits on me, then I understand. But if he was open to it, I would never you don't ever leave a job without having one lined up. That's like one of the stupidest things you can do, especially in this economy. And I feel really bad. Now I understand why you're saying good wife, because you have like this anxiety that if something happens or you don't do your part, she's going to leave you, which sucks. One part that I'm concerned about, I don't ever see why my spouse or a spouse in general would text their coworker outside of work topic. I just don't believe in that, especially when you're married. Like, keep your work and keep your private life separate. Like, those two should never intertwine. All right, you guys, it's time for my favorite part of the episode, which is the viewer submission, where you guys, the listeners, send me your stories, post it on my Reddit page for me to read here on the podcast. So let's get into today's story. She titles it Hypnotized. Hi Lola, I've been listening to you on TikTok and now on YouTube for years. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for bringing these stories to life. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Am I the asshole for letting my ex-husband hypnotize me? My ex-husband, who we will call Mr. 1000, 50, and me, 27, got married when I was 23 years old. At the time, I thought age equaled maturity. Obviously, I was wrong. After 3 kids, I was not able to achieve my pre-pregnancy weight. He was not happy. He liked skinny women, and this could possibly interfere for me career-wise. He said, since you are having issues, why don't you try hypnosis? After I rolled my eyes, I was like, how? He said, I can do it. So I said, okay. We go through all that. You're getting sleepy. And to no avail, I played along and did not tell him that it didn't work. During the hypnosis, he tries to suggest things such as, if I cheat, I will have an allergic reaction similar to my food allergies that could kill me. About a month later, I had not thought about these shenanigans, and guess the what? He tried it when I was going to sleep. He was like, you are getting very sleepy. I was in shock and felt very betrayed by the first suggestion, and now you want to do this behind my back and control my mind? So like any good wife, I played along, except this time he had to play. Immediately during the questions to keep my heart rate steady because I was pissed. Important note, I was active duty military at the time. About halfway through the session, I say, Charlie is all around me. I proceeded to beat the hell out of him. He was like, there is no one here, and I continued like I was in a firefight for my life and the life of fellow troops. He had no idea what he had done wrong and was freaking out. Finally, he said 1, 2, 3 to snap me out of hypnosis, and I laid out stiff as a board. I stretched and asked if I was tossing and turning in my sleep because I was tired. He shook his head and said, get some rest. This went on for a couple of years. I would play along all the way and let him forget the ass whipping, and then out of nowhere, pow, right in the kisser. Here is the best part. So when we were getting divorced, we had to see a therapist, and the kiddos did as well. I told the therapist. He tried to hypnotize me, but it didn't work. I was just trying to be a good wife. She asked him about it, and he told her it didn't happen. Embarrassment is a bitch. Am I the asshole? No, absolutely not. What the heck? First of all, thank you so much for sending in your story. It really makes me happy when I have people write on the Reddit thing. It's just crazy, surreal moment for me. I had to record this part so many times that you were beat the shit out of him because that's so funny. How could he not understand or like catch on to like, oh, she's faking this shit? Like, why was he trying to like hypnotize? Makes no sense. And I'm just going to touch on one point. You said, I thought age meant maturity. You learn in life that's not necessarily true. Because I've seen older men, seen younger men. There are some times where I'm like, how old are you? And they're pushing in their mid-30s and they act like they're 10 versus guys who are like in their early 20s who are very demure and kind and mature. So no, age does not mean maturity. Experience does. Life experience equates to maturity. And that's where we'll leave it today, my loves. These stories remind us that trust, communication, and self-worth are non-negotiables. And sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that save us. If any of today's stories hit home, don't be afraid to talk about it, reflect on it, or even send in your own. You're never alone. Until next time, with love always. Love, Lola. Bye.